Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the tail end of the Season 3 here at eTeam BRIT. It starts tonight. We are back and we are in force for sure. Snetterton is where we are at tonight. Is David Christie missing, pining for our good buddy Alex Goldschmidt, but he is elsewhere on real-life commentary duties, filling in and doing an absolutely stellar job. I've got no doubt. My man, the Chris Buxton himself in the commentary box. Chris, welcome along. You're in for an absolute treat tonight.
I am honoured and ecstatic to be alongside your good self, but equally here for Team BRIT for this amazing series at Norfolk's finest. We are at Snetterton for an hours of amazing, intense racing from a field of very, very talented drivers.
So, if, like Chris, you're brand new to the series, firstly, where have you been? Let's bring you up to speed with a quick crash course on what has happened so far. We're on round 5. We've had 4 rounds so far. Round 1 was Kyalami, Monza was round 2, Ulton was round 3, and Bathurst was round 4. Dean Riley took the win at round 1. It was Dominic Alvarez who took the win at round 2, but hasn't been seen ever since in terms of the points. Round 3 went to Charlie Crossland, and round 4 went to Robbie Stapleford, the late entry into the championship, who's been taking things by storm. Charlie Crossland currently leading the championship then with 69 points ahead of Robbie Stapleford, who's making that late charge into the championship with 54 points. Dean Riley is in third position with 50, Sean Campbell with 42, Rich Smith with 36, Kieran Vidago, keep an eye on him, he's making some big moves as well. 28 points gets him 6th position. Stuart Ross French, 26 points, along with Regan Mitchell, 26 points. Martin Buchan on 26 as well, 7th, 8th and 9th. And Dominic Alvarez, after that one win, hasn't been seen since on the scoring times, down in 10th position. Team standings look like this. Team Fordzilla Blue with a good lead right now with 94 points ahead of Simsport Solutions. Is Zansho Simsport in 3rd position with 55. Simsport Racing down in 4th. The Vario Corsa in 5th position. Zansho Simsport 2 in 6th, Red Shell Racing in 7th, Team BRIT Nissan in 8th, Team Fordzilla Orange in 9th, and eTeam Vazzaro down in 10th position. As Chris said, though, we are down in Norfolk for tonight. It is going to be an amazing escapade out at Snetterton, a track I've had real life experience of this year as well. But without further ado, let's have a closer look at the track here. So, Chris, obviously down at Snetterton, a track both me and you have had real life experience at. You've been down there very, very recently, about 2 months ago, and down in October. I was down there down in July. What's your thoughts on the track? Because I've obviously got it from on track, but from trackside point of view, what's your thoughts on it?
I've actually had, I commentated at Snetterton a few months ago and was there also there presenting, as you said last month. Now, you can't really see anything from the holding area, and ironically, from the commentary box, you can see bits. Now, we're looking at James Hall just coming through Brundle and Nelson now. You cannot see this section at all from the commentary position. Car number 2 has flown off the road. That's Hyde. Should see him on the outside. There he is. He's gone for an exploratory route around Coram. You pick up the view from about halfway through Coram and then all the way through. You can actually see the commentary box. There it is on the right-hand side of that particular shot there. Great camera work there, Mr. Yao. And you watch them go all the way through Rich's turn number 1, and you lose sight of them before they get to Wilson, which is the hairpin at the back. It's a brilliant circuit. I've raced it numerous times in sim racing, not very well, admittedly, but I've raced it in sim racing terms, and it's a great track to be in attendance of. I love Snetterton.
Yeah, it really, really is a great track. So what we'll do is we'll take you round it when we get into qualifying, which has just got underway just now. But to give you even more context, Chris, let's give you some highlights from what happened last time out at Bathurst.
We are green. Now it's time to put the hammer down, and Stapleford gets a really good run, and Nick Foster threading the eye of the needle between Kieran Vidago and Martin Buchan, and Foster's already up into P3 behind Dean Riley.
I'm really surprised at the start, Alex. I was expecting more drama, more chaos, but these drivers really showing the ability and the talent that they've got in bounds. See Kieran Vidago getting all sorts of shapes thrown there. Luke Pine just waiting to get on top, and a clip of the wall there. That's going to hand the position over.
That's Charlie Purr. That's coming through McPhillamy. Oh my goodness, at one of the places, and he's lost it big time there. Rain might stop in the next 5 or so minutes, and that could allow the track to start evolving.
Well, it already has, because it's went from wet to damp.
Yeah, Tim Lane, the number 44. Oh, that was not... Oh my goodness me, full-on Tokyo drift going through that part of the chase. I mean, he had a bit of a tank slapper, caught the wall, and then all of a sudden caught the slide. Well held.
Just making its way again. It's as after the crest of that hill at the chase, where the balance of the car just lifts off and all of the traction lifts, the car just swaps around on itself. Well, as we've got Max Spooner on the comeback drive right now against who's that? Is that Sandro Ballesteros? So we've got contact again, and that is David Simon facing sideways, and it's a bad day going even worse. It's Bobby Trundley, and it's like, you know, where do you put your concentration right now, Alex?
Pit stop window for round 4 here at Mount Panorama is officially open. On the inside of Ben Brown, or is Brown going to get back past? Or there's Tank. They've had a bit of a door check between the pair. They have exchanged a little bit of paint, and Ben Brown stays ahead in 14th.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, and there you go, Chris. That brings you up to speed at what happens over at Bathurst Mount Panorama. Yeah, safe to say it was a very, very busy night out there. But qualifying underway, we've got 17 minutes left to go in the session. Charlie Crossland out front and in charge, obviously, wanting to run away with some more points tonight. Robbie Stapleford down there in third position. But there's a lot of names out there that really stand out, aren't there?
Oh, yes. They're not least of which this one that we are looking at, the Zansho Simsport God himself, Robbie Stapleford, in the 81. Oh, Kieran Fidago! That's one way of going up to Wilson. Oh, my goodness.
That was quite stylish.
Oh, it was. It wasn't fast, but it was pretty fancy. I'll give him that. Yes, Robbie Stapleford seems to be pretty bulletproof no matter what he's in. I'm really glad to see this Fordzilla livery again. It's actually been a while since I've commentated on a series with the Fordzilla team in it. I love that livery, and I'm not gonna. Well, you can accuse me of bias. I don't care. That's a gorgeous car, and it's on the Merc as well. That beautiful roar that Mercedes has, I fully approve. And Charlie Crossland up at the top of the tree at the moment, 145.729. Coming back to what you were saying earlier about memories of Snetterton, or what makes Snetterton special for us, as we just switched to Bradley Brockies in the 105 McLaren. When I was commentating here, I actually saw a car go airborne, would you believe, for a brief moment. It went into it didn't last the race too much longer after than that. It was a Honda Accord, I think it was, and it was about, well, it's a parked car there. It was about there. It had just gone too wide at Hamilton and just hit a bump really awkwardly and sent all four wheels skywards. So yeah, that was a rather dramatic moment. As we switch to the Nissan of Bobby Trundley, number 23. I don't often see the Nissan out. That thing is an absolute monster to hang on to. But I also, I rather cemented a moment in commentary history for me. And you'll appreciate what I'm about to say here, David. Sometimes, especially in the heat of the moment, your brain just gets two sentences and mashes them together.
I can, yeah, I've had experience of this. Where's this going?
You can relate. I muddled up the sentences, open the throttle, and stretch your legs, and you can figure out the sentence I came out with.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, let's hope plenty of drivers are opening the throttle tonight. I was going to try and jokingly do a different mix-up of that, and then thought that sounds even worse than what you probably said on here. But getting back to who we've been looking at here, I mean, you mentioned briefly about Robbie Stapleford, and we do have to touch on him because the experience that we've both had watching him. Now, you got to commentate on him last night along with me, and I was commentating on him on Saturday night. Saturday during the day as well, and during the race of Remembrance online race. And honestly, the pace that young lad has got is unbelievable. He started the race last night, to give you some context, in 16th position in a GT3 race. At last, didn't qualify, had won the championship outright, and came all the way through to win the race.
He did indeed. At Suzuka, and yeah, that was just unreal. The only thing that can stop Stapleford is himself, but Kieran Fidago and Charlie Crossland have got some things to say about that at the moment, at least, as we continue to look as James Haskell comes through an absolute face full of dust. Not sure who that is already ahead of him. Oh, it's a Bentley. Good to see them getting a bit more representation. Tony Mellor in the Zansho Simsport number 20. There's a big old brute, that Bentley. Currently in 7th position, just 9/10 off that top spot, which in GT3 rating is not it's not insurmountable. It's a good mixture of cars as well up in the top. Now, the experience that David and I had yesterday in the series that had its finale at Suzuka, generally it was McLaren that was the heavily represented ones. But if anything, McLaren is the minority here in this race. We have Merc, Ferrari, McLaren, pair of Astons, Ferrari, Lexus, Bentley, Nissan, which we didn't have any Nissans or Mercs indeed in the series last night. Oh, wow, as Tony Mellor very nearly runs too wide on the exit of Hamilton. Buchan has just gone up in the treble six car. See, I always associate treble six to Mark Neuterlings. That's again last night's fault. He's in the treble five Bentley. Backshot looking from Regan Mitchell's Ferrari, the Simsport Racing number 69, coming through Coram. Oh wow, he's either trying to back off, or that Ferrari just got really squiggly coming through Coram, which is very easy to do. Such an awkward corner there, as you're trying to brake and turn at the same time. I've been many a lap there.
Yeah, here we go then. Here is Robbie Stapleford as we go on board then for a hot lap here. And this is going to be his attempt, surely, at trying to take pole. So we'll try and get a hot lap, because what they tend to do is if they don't do it, they end up just quitting out half the lap there. Right, so turn one then, Riches. It's the battle of the brave, really. You want to try and keep your foot down. It is absolutely flat, but it's all important to get the right line. Then it's straight onto the brakes into Montreal as late as you can. Let the brakes pull your car round on that right-hander. Again, full throttle. Maybe a tiny little lift here on the left-hander at Palmer. Again, you want to get yourself set up for Agostini, this tight hairpin left-hander there. Also making sure you don't run out too wide on the right-hand side there. Down onto the brakes then, pulling on the brake for this left-hander here. And it goes on way longer than you think it is. You're so tempted. You have to be so patient getting back on the throttle here. This is just a blip at Hamilton. Pulls on the brakes again down in towards Oggies then, the right-hander. Again, you're so patient on the throttle because the car will pitch off to the left and just go straight on here. Through Williams then, again, getting a good run out. Getting excellent exit speed out for the Bentley straight is your number one priority here. If you don't do that, you're going to be a sitting duck to the cars behind you here. He's 1/10 up at the moment, and this looks very good, potentially for going into pole. I've got horrible experience of Brundle and Nelson here, a big chicane there, and that is going to be a big power slide that possibly loses him a little bit of time. Down through into Bombhole then into Coram, this long sweeping right-hander, and this is one of the most difficult corners onto the track here because it's down on the brakes in the Murrays, and if you don't get that car settled up, pitched up into the corner, you're going to be straight on. But this is it. This is huge for Robbie Stapleford. This could be pole position. He's going to go across the line. What can Robbie Stapleford do? He does it. 1:45.666. Well, there you go. That is an absolutely huge lap there for Robbie Stapleford.
It's close. It's very close. Just 600ths of a second quicker than championship leader Crossland. So that's not an insurmountable amount at all as we look at Stuart Ross French in the second of the Astons. He's currently up on his previous best by a 10th. It won't get him up any further up the grid yet, but if he can find some more time through the lap, then that of course will help. Now 2/10 of a second being informed. That will move Rich Smith out of the way. Oh, that looked a little reluctant to turn coming out of Williams onto the Bentley straight. Yeah, that's going to cost him time. The Aston just did not want to turn in at all. Down the Bentley straight. If you lose, exactly as you were saying earlier, David, if you lose time coming through Williams, you carry that mistake such a long way, and it's vital to get that right, as Murray's equally so. Through Bombhole, I want to kill the person that thought that wasn't a great corner name, but that's another matter. Through Coram, as we switched to Luke Pound as well. Well, we were going to switch to Luke Pound in the Nissan, but this is likely to not be an improvement, or not be enough of an improvement from Stuart Ross French. Over the line, yes, he's going to come over the line to complete the lap anyway. Does he improve? Let us see. No improvement from the number 28.
Just to give you a little bit of context then from Robbie Stapleford then, is the fact that he's on full ballast right now. Rich Smith on a hot lap as well. This is going to go for pole though. Rich Smith out of absolutely nowhere. 1:45.666. 1:45.579. So hello to the SSR Rouge 2 driver. I'm pretty sure that is a new addition to the championship, because Rich Smith we haven't really heard much from in earlier races, but a fantastic run there for Rich Smith. In fact, getting what that must have been second place actually at round 3. So yeah, Rich Smith, not the stranger that I thought he was to the championship, but certainly adds a different dynamic. But the thing is as well, Chris, is, as I said, Robbie Stapleford on full ballast on that car that was taking the race win last time out.
Well, you did suggest last night that he needs to tow another McLaren on his car as form of ballast for.
Obviously, that's not enough.
Okay, evident. Well, again, Rich would have other ideas on that one. Again, very narrow margins again. As we look at Martin Buchan for eTeam Visario, that quite striking yellow and black livery going on the Bentleys. Oh, there he is. There's Stapleford getting a drag off of one of the Simsport Ferraris. Who is it? Oh, the irony of that. Who's he getting a slipstream from?
That's Regan Mitchell, that's in the 69. Just very quickly there, Chris, on Regan Mitchell, I'm so gutted that he's not having the season I thought he would do. I caught glimpses of him pre-season in another championship, and he was amazing. He was just the absolute star of the show, and I thought he was going to come into here and he was going to really turn some heads, and unfortunately he's just not had the run of luck through things. And this is tactical. This is absolutely a deliberate thing that Regan Mitchell was trying to tie to bring Robbie Stapleford round the track there, and it was all going well there until Murray's corner there. So I think he was about 0.2 of a second up until that point, and it all went south for him, Chris.
It certainly did, but that shows you the really narrow margins they're dealing with. If Robbie Stapleford has to get that much slipstream to make just 2/10, that shows you how much on the limit they are. As we now switch to Dean Riley in the treble 2 Aston, coming through Hamilton now. 1.3 off the top spot, 4 cents up on his previous best, so that is going to see him up to around about 8th at the moment in the Simsport Racing Noir. Very black and white livery on this particular Aston. Again, it seems the Astons just do not want to behave themselves through Williams, and such a crucial corner to get right, as we were saying. But Robbie Stapleford highlighted exactly why you need to get Murray's right, because again, you're carrying that speed or carrying a mistake a very long way. So if you make a mistake in Murray's, your lap is dead.
100%.
Through bomb hole then for Dean Riley. Oh, is someone disqualified ahead of him because he's now down at 11th? Possibly.
Yeah, that's the 63. Max Spooner's just went up to 15th place there, but I think that was actually Mella in the Bentley that just moved a position up there that pushes him down. But Dean Riley comes across the line. What can he do? Potentially moving up to 8th position, so 0.9 of a second, Chris, off of pole position. He's going to be happy with that, but 4.5 minutes left to go in qualifying here. And what I love about eTeam BRIT is the spread of times. We've got, what's that, 20 cars within 4 seconds of each other. I've got no doubt that Tyler in the 445 going to improve up and pull him down. But have a look at this. Charlie Crossland in the team Fordzilla right now, just 1/10 of a second off of that pole time. Hungry to get more points, flashing the lights here with 4 minutes 15 left to go. This is down through the Bentley Straight here. This is the run down to Brundle and Nelson. Again, so important to get a good run through here, through the chicane. I think that that car in front is going to, yep, just get out of the way there. That is the Honda of Haskell in the 32 there. Pulls it round to the right hand side, then round through Bombhole, round through Corm as well. We've got a yellow flag halfway around the circuit. That's the number 2. Again, that's Dan Hyde in the Lamborghini that brings that out, but that is nowhere near here. Through Murray's corner then, and it's still a good lap for Charlie Crossland. It's looking promising for pole position for the number 10 car. Can we get a Team Fordzilla on the pole position? No, we can't. So where has that time gone, Chris?
It looked pretty it looked flawless, that lap, from what we saw of it. I'm not sure what's gone on there. There is Kieran Verdaga, the number 4 Ferrari. Where's he? That's Agostini. He's coming through. 2 tenths up, so he's going to be challenging for that pole if he is able to hang on to that. Yellow flag, that's down into Riches. That's the 105 that's gone off. The Brockies that's gone off, but he's parked up. That's not going to influence Mr. Vidago at all. Through Williams. Oh, and the tail of the Ferrari got really loose. You saw he had to have a couple of goes to turn that one. That could well be costly. We will see as he's charging to the end of the sector. There is David Simon of the Fordzilla Mercs. That's the bomb hole he's gone through. Again, 2 tenths up, so everybody's still finding time out there on the circuit. Coming up to Murray's, which in my opinion is the most difficult. In my opinion, Murray's is the most difficult corner on this circuit. Yellow flag out there somewhere. That's disappeared. Does David Simon improve? He does in time, but not position. There is Kieran Vidago. Oh, he's going for pole. 3 tenths up as he's come through Murray's. Oh, it's pole by 18 thousandths of a second from Rick Smith. My word,
that is the narrowest of margins. Yeah, I cannot believe he squeezed that in, Chris. That is a monumental lap there from Kieran Vidago, just 100th of a second, and that is an absolute shot across the bow of as Charlie Crossland jumps up into 3rd position there. So I've got to be honest, this is setting itself up for an absolute banger of a race with 1.5 minutes to go. Keep an eye on Bobby Trundley as well in that number 23 GTR. He is an absolute nuisance behind the wheel in the best possible terms. He cannot ever be discounted. But Stuart Ross French here, and another of the faster drivers on the league here of the championship. Red Shell Racing SRF in the number 28 coming out of the where is he just now? He's just coming through Bombhole, actually down through Coram, so he's much further on in the lap than I thought. He's 6 tenths off the pace right now with 1 minute left to go, down on the brakes. And as you said, Chris, this is 100% into Murray's corner, the hardest corner on the circuit, purely because the car is still turning right and you're touching the brakes, at which point you're 9 times out of 10 going to have a very, very bad time. But Stuart Ross French goes across the line, doesn't improve on his time there. As we see, the number 76 of Smith has decided that is enough. We're not going to get any improvements there, and calls that a day on there. But this is Dan Hyde trying to make improvements from down in 22nd place and 28 seconds left to go in qualifying. It's looking very, very good for Kieran Vidago there, Chris.
It certainly does. The yellow flags popping up are just people that are going through first turn and just deciding not to continue. Regan Mitchell improves up to 6th position. He's on a time lap. If he's got enough fuel, he can complete it if he so chooses to. And it looks like he's pressing on, wanting to improve even further. Sees him in 6th position. Vidago has returned to the pits. He can do no more. There is Stapleford. Checkered flag is out. That is Hamilton. He's gone through. So he needs to find 1/10 of a second. To put that into perspective, 1/10 of a second is the speed that most people blink. And so far, that's separating 4 cars. That's absolutely unreal.
Yeah, that's incredible, incredible stuff. And the thing is that you can't put Robbie Stapleford out of the mix at any point. Dan Hyde comes across the line, doesn't improve then on that 22nd position. Then as we go back to Stapleford, we'll try and get you as many of the updates as we possibly can, but it looks like most of the cars, we've just got the 28, which is Stuart Ross French, just in front of Robbie Stapleford just now. That's coming into Murray's just now. Here comes Robbie Stapleford coming through Coram, then in towards the final corner, onto the brakes towards Murray's. It's looking very, very good. Last time we heard he was a 10th up. It's a beautiful run up. He's 2 tenths up. This is going to be surely it's going to be pole position for Robbie Stapleford. He comes across the line, and what does he do? 149.462. What on earth? What do we do with this boy? I mean, 15 years old, and he is just ridiculously fast. Regan Mitchell trying to make some marginal gains here, currently 2 tenths up. That would be enough to put him ahead of Stuart Ross French. He's 3 tenths up, still only going to be 5th position potentially for Regan Mitchell for Simsport Racing. Comes across the line and it's going to be 5th place then. But I mean, we have to talk about him. How did he do that, Chris?
Got nothing. I've got absolutely nothing to that. Absolutely incredible. 146.422 at the death of the session to take the pole by just shy of a tenth of a second. If Stapleford is not racing real machinery out there somewhere in the world, there is at some point in his adult lifetime, there is an injustice in the world.
Well, we heard yesterday when he was on stream, I think it was during the Race of Remembrance, and I'm pretty sure it was his dad, saying that he was in the Ginetta Scholarship. He was in the top 4 in the Ginetta Scholarship, so he's got proof that he can translate that to real life ability. And I have to agree with you, Chris. And this is what I love about sim racing, isn't it? The fact that you can get these devastatingly fast drivers. And I was fortunate enough to work with another lad like that, Ben Kriener, who actually did some Euro NASCAR. And again, it's that whole thing of they're just so fast at what they turn to. And as aspiring middle-aged, rather slow drivers ourselves in sim racing, Chris, it leaves us with nothing but green of jealousy.
Oh, completely. Yeah. But, you know, I always recognise that I was an okay sim racing driver. I could do the shouty bit behind the microphone all day long. And that's why I tend to go for this seat. But no, you're absolutely right, is that sim racing has a lot of transferable skill. And I actually had the opportunity to interview the Jensen Button, and that's the question I asked him about transferable skill. How, as he's done, obviously he had huge success on both sides, real life racing and sim racing. How much transferable skill did he feel there was? And very simply put, well, real life racing teams will use drivers in simulators, and that's the exact same skill set that is being demonstrated in sim racing. So the transferable skill is, with the exception of G-force application, it's entirely all transferable. And is that not being proven in exactly what we were talking about with Stapleford getting into the Ginetta Academy, along with other real-life racing drivers that have made the transition from sim racing to various forms of motorsport?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's 100% the case, as the line between real life racing and virtual racing gets ever the more blurred. Right, we've got about 3 minutes to go, so that gives us plenty of time for going down the grid. Then pole position for Robbie Stapleford in the number 81 car, alongside Kieran Vidago in that number 4. Smith and Crossland on 3 and 4 for row 2. Row 3 in 5th position is going to be Regan Mitchell and Stuart Ross French in 5th and 6th. 7th and 8th is going to be Dean Riley and Bobby Trundley on row 4. Row 5 is going to be David Simon for Team Fordzilla, alongside Martin Buchan for eTeam Vazzaro. And then in 11th and 12th is Mella and Campbell. 13th and 14th is going to be Tempera and Haskell, with Bradley Brockes and Mark Spinner in 15th and 16th on row 8. Row 9 is going to be Luke Pound and Mark Neutlings. And then in row 10 you've got 19th place and 20th you've got Lane and Tyler, with Sandero Ballesteros and Dan Hyde in 21st and 22nd. And at the back of the grid in 23rd position is the McLaren 67 of Hall. So again, a very, very mixed grid. You've got James Hall right at the back, you've got Robbie Stapleford at the front. Chris, it's obviously too early to start talking about who we think is going to win the race, but within our race, what do Vidago, Smith and Crossland need to do to make sure Stapleford just doesn't run away with this?
They continue doing exactly what they've done in the past. They continue doing what they know best and hope that he makes a mistake. Or equally, the gaps are so finite that slipstream alone could negate that slight pace advantage. So if Stapleford has managed to keep anything in the tank, then he's going to run off into the distance. However, if he's given absolutely everything, we're in for an absolute treat, particularly in that top 4. No disrespect to the rest of the field, there's going to be fighting throughout it, but if you're talking about the actual overall win, from what we've seen so far, I don't know that Stapleford's going to run off into the distance.
Well, that's what we're going to have to keep an eye out for, and that's certainly what Kieran Vidago, Ryan Smith, and Charlie Crossland are going to be keeping an eye out for on that grid there. So again, any one of the top 10 drivers there, you've got to say, in with a very, very good shout of being competitive tonight and possibly even getting themselves a podium. Rich Smith in that number 76 is going to be looking for it. I think Regan Mitchell, as I said before, definitely has the pace to make himself a nuisance, and Bobby Trundley in that big bad GTR further down the order there. He is never one that you want to look past as well. But we're almost ready to get underway. A huge thank you as always to our commercial partners here at eTeam BRIT for making this possible. Not only that, but for providing the amazing plethora of prizes that are on offer towards the end of the season as well. And we'll talk more about that through the race. But Chris, here we go then. A wonderful overlay of Snetterton circuit here in Norfolk. Robbie Stapleford on pole. A 23-car grid in our race, mandatory pit stop with a pit window opening in about 20 minutes time. Yeah, this has got all the hallmarks of an absolute classic, with it being, round 5 of an 8-round championship.
Absolutely. It did look for a minute that when Stapleford got underway, no one else moved. It did.
There was a bit of a panic there.
Thought that looked a bit strange. Here's the view from Wilson. Was formerly called Montreal, but was the corner was renamed after the sad death of Wilson earlier on. Right behind us is where the tree man was, the strange tree that was in the shape of a mountain. Sadly blew down a couple of years ago, so that is no longer there. Look at the amount of rubbish that you can see on the outside line there. You do not want to be wandering wide there at all. You're going to lose so much time if you do. Heading down towards Agostini now on the warm-up lap. Everyone doing the usual brake and tyre warming. Vidago knows what he needs to do to try and pile the pressure on Stapleford, but it's always very, very difficult. That McLaren just seems to be pretty bulletproof, but isn't that great mixture of marks? Coming back to this point again, look at that McLaren, Ferrari, Aston, Merc, Ferrari, Aston, Nissan. Brilliant in the top 7 or 8 there. And if Stapleford does make a rare mistake, then he's going to have a lot of work to try and overcome that.
Yeah, he really, really is. A very good evening to everyone watching on YouTube. Unfortunately, Chris, I was not paying attention to the chat. Our chat box isn't updating, and I've missed all the bants. We've had loads of top quality banter on the go, mostly from Martin Buchan, who loves. We love a little bit of friendly jest. Game is so realistic. He's seeing parts of a yellow Peugeot 107 lying about, saying "D Christie." Cheers, mate. Thanks for that. Andy Tucker Racing asking, is there an ice cream van parked at turn 2? That's very harsh. I'll let you in on that joke very shortly, Chris. And Carl Stapleford, this is, I believe that's Robbie's dad, said it would be nice to see him racing in real life. He needs to find a girlfriend with a rich dad. That's great to see the forward-thinking plans there, as we see Charlie Crossland just deciding to defy the laws of quantum physics and morph through Rich Smith there in third place. But the cars lining themselves up 2 by 2. Meanwhile, Robbie Stapleford has to lead them all the way through here. But we're getting ready then for round 5 then of the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge Season 3. We've got 23 cars on the grid. There'll be plenty of time for laughs galore through the hour. Mandatory pit stop, but it is this man here, Robbie Stapleford, side by side with Kieran Vidago, leading the 23 cars here on 60 minutes here. And we are on the edge of our seats as Dave Christie and Chris Buxton taking you through all of the action. We dearly miss our good friends Alex Goldschmidt, who is other side of the world from what I believe. But back to the race here. We're on the run down to the green flag. It's a very, very long run, and the green flag is about to wave. There we go. It is underway, and it's a great start for Vitago, side by side with Robbie Stapleford, but it's into the lead. There we go, blocking off it. Crossland sent off, and that's Regan Mitchell sends Charlie Crossland off into the barriers into turn 1, and that is a huge, huge championship upset right there, Chris.
Oh no, Crossland just got tapped there, but it all condensed up. I mean, really, Kieran Vitago was a bit bold in chopping across the field like that. It was only ever going to, well, I say only ever going to cause a... Oh no, there's another one! That's one of the Simsport Noir cars that's gone off. I couldn't quite see which one has gone off into the field. Oh, oh no, Dean Riley has gone for a bit of a spin. That's down at Palmer, but at the moment it is Mr. Stapleford still fending off the Simsport Racing of Kieran Vitago. Now as the tower sorts itself out, Regan Mitchell, there he is in the second of the Simsport cars. That's a great aerial shot. That is from Oggies. Oh, as you can see, it just gets really tight and twisty down there. Lots of fighting, lots of side-by-sides going on. Whoa, Mr. Crossland, a bit too eager to get on with it. Slams into the back of someone, trying to make up for some lost time.
Right, here we go then. This is where the drivers need to settle down. Kieran Vitago trying to hold on to the back, and a huge power slide there from Robbie Stapleford. That sends him wide. That is through Brundle, and we've got a change for the lead as Kieran Vitago moves into the lead. There's contact, and that is huge! Contact keeps the foot in, the two of them, Robbie Stapleford and Kieran Vitago, side by side. Chaos, drama, it's all kicking off here at Snetterton, and this is all for the championship. Up through the inside then goes Robbie Stapleford to take the lead, and we haven't even got a lap in the books. It's Stapleford from Vitago, from Regan Mitchell. Sorry, that's now Stuart Ross French that's up in the third position there. What a race have we got, and there's more contact, and into the grass goes Kieran Vitago, and that is almost going to certainly be a trip to race control for Robbie Stapleford.
Oh dear, this is really scrappy from Robbie Stapleford. I understand he's got family watching, and I'm terribly sorry, but that is really, really unsportsman, not the phrase I was looking for. It's very uncharacteristic. He's not usually aggressive, yes, but that's a little bit too, almost desperate from the McLaren. There's no need to be that harsh in how he's driving. That's Vitago that has gone off into the barriers. Crossland, that wasn't Staples' fault, but we see several championship leaders off into the dust. But wow, Robbie Stapleford, what an unusual set of circumstances that's seeing him really, it looks like he's out of desperation. We've still got several rounds of the championship to go. There's really no need to be that. Oh no, Charlie Crossland. He equally doesn't need to be that desperate. That's twice we've seen him go into the back of someone as he's allowed the eBRIT cars to go past him. Well, all three of the eBRIT cars right there, just demoting him back down, down into 22nd, nearly at the back of the field. Charlie Crossland, you need to settle back down. Too much red mist going on in the championship leader's car.
Wow. I've got to be honest, I'm really disappointed with the action we've seen the first 5 minutes. It's always great fun to watch. It's always great fun as commentators, but championship wise, yeah, this is going to have some lasting implications as the Simsport Noir car of Dean Riley trying to go around the outside of Mark Neuterling's there. Kieran Vitago trying to keep himself out of trouble, and of course we don't know what damage that car of Kieran Vitago has, because it looks pretty banged up on the front end of it, and there was multiple bits of contact there. I'll be completely honest, I think Robbie Stapleford is going to be completely hauled over the coals there as Kieran Vitago has a look up the inside there of the Bentley of Martin Neuterling's as Dean Riley gets past him there just now, so up into 16th position. But you're absolutely right, Charlie Crossland there, way too eager to get past there, contact galore, and I think there's going to be quite a few penalties. Race control certainly are going to be earning their pennies tonight.
That they are. So we're looking at Rich Smith now, the lead Aston, with right behind him the number 28 Aston of French there. So he's had a cracking start. 10-second penalty for 23 and 63 for previous. So that's the 10-second penalties you can see on the tower. That's what. So that's from previous races. So yeah, that explains why they had that before we got underway. They weren't being silly on the parade lap. That's previous race infringements that are having to be served this time around. Look at this, Robbie Stapleford. Now, we're used to seeing him just run off into the distance. That car is wounded. As I mean, no disrespect to Riz Smith at all, but the McLaren usually just pulls away and away and away and away. He's got no answer at the moment to the Aston behind. So, oh yeah, even before the stewards have intervened, I think Stapleford's got a lot of work ahead of him.
Yeah, he really does. Remember, full fuel and that ballast on as well. That is really going to be hurting that McLaren as the cars all pile their way down in towards Riches then for the third time of asking. Tony Mella for Zansho Simsport in the Bentley trying to hunt down David Simon for that team Fordzilla there. We've got more yellow flags. That is the 555 car that's brought out the yellow flags this time then. And that is, of course, Mark Neuterling. So more contact further on. This has been one of the busiest races in terms of contact and in terms of aggression from the drivers. I have to echo exactly what you were saying there, Chris. It's way too much, way too much, and we've got Tim Lane into the barrier, in for Red Shell Racing, and that is going to be into the pits, and I fear that may be our first retirement of the race. Only make that 6 minutes into the race here. Drivers, I've never seen this level of aggression before, this level of almost lack of respect even for other drivers, Chris. It's unbelievable.
I seem to be having an effect. My first visit.
I know, you've jinxed it, yeah.
Oh, we were saying yesterday that I was commentating cursing absolutely everybody as soon as I mentioned someone that flew off the road, and I seem to be having quite an adverse effect here. I'm going to be fired before the end of the race. Hopefully not. So this is the replay of Stapleford and Vidago from the opening lap. So there's the slide from the McLaren that set everything in motion. Vidago makes a fair move on the inside line. Has got that one done before bomb hole, because the line was slightly compromised. And then they come together, and that Ferrari just bounces continually off the McLaren. And Kieran's teammate just jumps off the road, to avoid potential incident. And then the McLaren just does not relinquish any particular position. Then gets back up into the lead. And then it all goes wrong again mainly for Kieran Vidago coming down into Riches. So there we go. So the McLaren remains on the inside line. So what happens here? Oh, so Kieran really turned it a little bit early. I mean, where was the McLaren going to go? That was Kieran trying to take the racing line before he completed the move. It was a bold move. It certainly would have been on. Had it come up, and Rich Smith has earned a 10-second penalty whilst we've been looking at that, so it's still all going off.
Blimey. Yeah, look, on watching that back, that particular incident, yeah, it's I don't think going at turn one, you can really blame Robbie for that one. I think that he might get his wrist slapped for earlier on. Let's have a look here. This is into turn one then. This is from Robbie's. Yeah, where's he going to go? That car just pulls right in front of him. Yeah, difficult one. There might be one for that earlier contact into bomb hole, into Coram, but we'll wait and we'll see with that. But Regan Mitchell up in the third position there. Now, he was down in fifth position, so he's taken those two positions from Bobby Trundley and from Stuart Ross French there. So great to see Regan Mitchell onto a podium position right now. But Robbie Stapleford and Rich Smith currently stretching away then, 3.2 seconds ahead of Regan Mitchell here. And look at that in the background. Bobby Trundley, I said before the race, do not discount him. He is definitely going to be one to watch. And as it stands, yeah, he could be, granted he's got 10 seconds to serve in the pit stops, but he could be one to watch towards the tail end of this race. But here's another replay. This is of the start then, and you can see the cars jinking left and right. And I'm going to be completely honest, yeah, that's a straight away, that's a penalty then for the number 76, and that's why we saw that. And Charlie Crossland, I think 10 seconds is light for that.
I'm not sure that's entirely accurate. Well, that's a matter of opinion between us. We're not stewards.
Yeah, that's it. And the thing is that's why we get to make those comments, is because we're not connected to race control, so we get to basically say what we like. It's great.
Yeah, 10 seconds I think was fair to that. Everybody was bunching up. It was a mistake from Rich Smith there, but I think 10 seconds it was fair for that one personally, but either way, I mean, it doesn't help Charlie Crossland, who hasn't really helped himself either in his recovery. Oh, so this is what happened to Tim Lane. So he's being battered around quite nicely. Oh, nice. Oh, wow. It's, so he punches the number 2 Lamborghini in the face, and then he ends up... Oh, I saw he was against the barrier when we saw him.
Yeah, I think he'd obviously had some sort of further issue afterwards with that, and had decided enough was enough. So, yeah, caught up in early action. And this is the problem, is that if you're so aggressive, then... You know, this does tend to lead to you. This is Dean Riley then getting punted from behind from the number 64 then of David Simon. So he gets sent off to the grass. I think that's going to be a fairly clear-cut thing for race control to decide. I think it's going to be an Oprah night tonight here, Chris, because I think everyone will get a penalty.
It would seem to be. And then if everyone gets a penalty, it rather negates all of them. But there we go. That's the nature of close quarter racing, isn't it? That's what we like to see. As we look at Martin Buchan and the eTeam Vasario number 666 being hounded by the number 26 Lamborghini. That colour scheme makes me think of Lotus in a way. Oh, wow, as Buchan goes really early to that defensive line, coming into Wilson. And he keep the Lamborghini at bay. Oh, right behind them. Look at that. That's Hescott and Mellor, I think, in the Honda and in the Bentley. Yes, it is. The Bentley actually gained. So that's Tony Mellor getting that 11th position from Hescall. Very much reminds me of the Milker Boy comments I was making yesterday. That's that Honda, which is ironically referencing a race I commentated on the week before. Yellow flags, that's number 66, I think it is.
Yeah, that's Luke Pounds that's brought that one out. Just going back to your comments on the number 26 there of Campbell, of Sean Campbell. For me personally, you said Lotus. Does that not also remind you of a box of Crayola?
Yeah, now you've said it, yes. And now I'm never getting that image out of my head.
It's right in the background there, yeah. That's exactly what I saw. But 47 minutes left to go in the race, and I'm also seeing Rich Smith then with that 10-second penalty. Now he's 0.7 of a second behind Robbie Stapleford, so. This is just going to be so complex with how this all plays out in terms of penalties, in terms of pit stops and things like that. And what we don't want is to effectively be robbed of a battle here. But where it looks like Robbie Stapleford is making gains and he's getting over a second and clearing off, and then suddenly Rich Smith decides to pull him back.
I reckon there's damage on that McLaren. It's all going to be down to whether Robbie Stapleford chooses to fix that damage come pit stop time or not. That's my thought on that one. As we look at Paolo Tempera in the number 8 Luzcar Audi in 7th position, giving D. Simon in the 64 Mercedes. Good old challenge. There's a few different lines being taken there into Palmer. It's a slightly awkward camber in that particular corner, or it always looks it from the offset. Now, you've had real-life driving experience of this track, David. Having seen these onboard laps, how well recreated is Snetterton from a driver's perspective, do you feel?
Don't know, I wasn't driving this fast anyway, that's for sure. No, like it's absolutely 100% spot on. Even down to the bit that I was stunned at is down at Brundle and Nelson.
Exactly,
I know, right? Down at Brundle and Nelson, you've got these killer sausage curbs on the inside of the curb, and they are replicated absolutely perfectly here. Everything is as it is in real life. It's uncanny. Thankfully, we didn't have the tyre barriers there through the day there, but even down to the runoff bit on the outside of Nelson, you really, really do feel everything here. There's a slight incline here through the bomb hole as you run round through Corham, and again, I just get the fear when I come down onto the brakes here and you try desperately to get the speed scrubbed off, and you can't take too much speed into Murray. So yeah, as for how accurate this track is, 100%. It is to the millimetre perfect on here on the Assetto Corsa Competizione. As we go for a replay here then, this is above, and is this going to be for our race leader? And this is the contact down into Bombhole and Coram here. So this is on the inside here, and I'm going to have a look here because up the inside then goes Robbie Stapleford. For me, that's that's Robbie putting himself in a position he didn't really need to be there.
Yeah, but you know, as we know, Kieran was a bit, was a little bit put off coming through Bombhole. The door was open, but it's not a brilliant overtaking opportunity. He really should have waited. I mean, it's easy to say that post-event.
Yeah.
We rather know what's going to happen here. There's Rich Smith saying, no, I'm not getting involved in that. And there we go. There's that just turning too early. That certainly isn't, as we initially thought, not Robbie Stapleford's fault. And no penalty has yet been applied to the 81 McLaren. So I think that's a bit of a racing incident coming out of the bomb hole from the pair of them. So
I have to agree now. Seeing that footage, that's changed my opinion on that. Again, thinking that it was more on potentially on Robbie for that. Seeing that above footage, that does change my opinion on that, because if anything, it's marginal and it's potentially just a racing incident.
Mr. Crossland has added his name to the penalty board now with a 5-second penalty for the number 10. That, I suspect, is going to be causing a collision at Oggies of some description. We've seen 2 of them happen. Oh, voila! No sooner do I mention it. 5-second penalty for number 10, causing a collision with the 67 car. That would be Hall, the McLaren. I think that was the second incident we saw. As we now look at Stuart Ross French on the back of Bobby Trunley with the Nissan having to serve that 10-second penalty. That will be done in the pits. Oh, is that someone being lapped?
Yeah, that's a lapped car already. It's an Aston Martin. I think is that the 445 of Michael Tyler that's just up in front. I think it is actually. He's just behind the number 69 car of Regan Mitchell just now. So having a bit of a difficult day out. Charlie Crossland into the pits already. That is not for his scheduled stop there. I wonder if Charlie Crossland has thrown in the towel and decided enough is enough there.
That's a bit brutish from Ross French there, as the Aston does indeed get out of the way. It is possible to make a move on the exit of Agostini, but you really got to capitalise on the mistake of a mistake from the person you're chasing. Because there's not really any straight between Agostini and Hamilton, so he's opted to stay behind the Nissan at the moment. Fairly standard exit from both cars onto the Bentley straight. And there we see the Ferrari Regan Mitchell blocking the view. And there we see Trunley, making a defensive gesture, if nothing else. And they remain where they are at the moment. So now, even though Snetterton has got a lot of braking zones, it's not an easy track to overtake on. You have got to be careful about how you go about racing here. Although, some people may not have got that particular message more than others. Was the number 44 back out there? Didn't I thought, yeah. Tim Lane's back out on track again.
So he's obviously just got a tow back to the pits, got the damage fixed, and has decided to get going again. So great to see that, and yeah, absolutely fair play. Delighted to see that. I posted a little private picture for us in chat of Sean Campbell of what I think the inspiration for that livery is. It's basically, if you just type into Google Crayola crayons box, that I swear to goodness, that is almost it's a replica of the car.
Absolutely. Now I've seen it. Now I've seen it. Now I can't unsee it.
What a move by Mella to get that position on Martin Buchan. Buchan is not a driver that I thought would be going backwards during this race, but just doesn't seem to be having the pace here. And this is actually Tony Mella's only his second race here with eTeam BRIT, and doing. Actually, sorry, let me clarify. This is his second race in ACC. It's his first race with eTeam BRIT. He's only been in the sim for about an hour total. That is impressive stuff.
And he's in the Bentley, which is not known to be the easiest beast in the world to deal with. So what a great effort there. Zansho is certainly an organisation that will do him well. There's a move from Buchan trying to regain that 8th position, but nothing coming off for the Lexus this time around. The number 8 Audi of Simpara right ahead They're chasing the Fordzilla Mercedes, the number 64 of who is it? I had the name in my head and it's gone. Of Simon, at least. I had his name in my head and it's gone.
I can't help you on that one, I'm afraid.
David Simon, there we go.
There we go. Yeah, David Simon. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking back to your earlier conversation off air when you were trying to place. You thought you'd heard of Max Spooner before, and then it was Simon Spooner that you'd heard of.
Yeah.
That's where I thought you were going with that one, but yeah, never mind. Right, pit window is open, ladies and gentlemen. So 20 minutes for the cars to come in and do their pit stops. Dean Riley jumps into the pits. There's Kieran Vidago then, and that's a very, very damaged-looking car. Meanwhile, back up the front, Rich Smith just a second and a half now off of the tail end of Robbie Stapleford. And from all intents and purposes, from the Perley side of things, it looks like race control not really going to be taking any action for Robbie Stapleford. So again, he's gotten through that, and like we said on closer inspection, it looks like some marginal incidents that he's been involved in.
Yeah, and I would agree with that outcome as well, as that Stapleford was aggressive but fair in those instances. We initially didn't, we didn't, of course, see all the angles at the time that we made our statements, but that's commentator's prerogative. We'll call it as we see it. It's not always, or that's why we have stewards to go through all the angles that we don't have time to do, as we continue to look at this amazing five-way battle with Simon, Tempera, Mellor, Buchan and Campbell in the Crayola-coloured Lamborghini. I'm sticking with that now because that's such a brilliant representation of that livery. Several people pitting already, Vidago and Riley, as you can see. Lane in Crossland. Crossland's been in there a while, so you thought he might park that one. Oh, steady, Fordzilla Merc. Anyone else coming in? No, this group continuing on their way. As you can see, the pit window is only open for 20 minutes. They can't just, leave it to the very last second and then chuck it in the pits. They have got to pit within the window. They don't have to be out of the pit lane before the pit window closes. They have to be in it before the pit window shuts. So they don't had to have completed the pit lane. They don't have to have completed their pit stop before the pit window shuts. They just have to have gone into it before the pit window closes.
Yeah,
so,
that's exactly it. And the thing is that we'd seen in previous seasons and previous championships drivers falling foul of that, but thankfully this season, touch the desk and every other wooden object that I have in the room, we've not seen any issues with it. And sure, Ross French makes the move on Bobby Trundley, and Bobby Trundley, like, that car is not just standing still. This is the problem with Bobby Trundley, is that will be, Chris, like a red rag to a bull. And that is the last person you want to have on your tail right now.
Good move. Difficult place to make a move down there in Agostini, but Ross French made it work as Bobby Trundley now down into 5th position. There's that pack that we were looking at before in the background of that particular shot. Is anyone else going to be coming into the pits? Well, race leader Robbie Stapleford is just coming through Murray's now. I doubt they're going to be leaving it too much longer. If I was in their position, I'd want to be getting that pit stop just done. Get it out of the way so you don't have to think about it, especially if you're in a pack and you feel like you're being held up. I'd want to be getting that pit stop done, but no one else is following my advice, it would seem. Still a few cars in the pits. Lane and Crossland still haven't come back out. Tyler is now in the 445. Everyone else is continuing along their merry way, it would seem. So no one followed. Well, then I'm not a sim racer, so there's a good reason they don't listen to me. Oh, as Trundley is just a little bit wide in the Godzilla Nissan. Okay, not quite. The Godzilla Nissan was several generations older than this one, I know, but it's just what it makes me think of, and it has that distinct scream under the bonnet of the Nissan. On goes Stuart Ross French. It's starting to build a bit of a gap now between himself and Bobby Trundley. It's about 7/10 at the moment. At the moment, Bobby Trundley doesn't quite have an answer to the Aston that's come past him, with Stewart then setting his sights on that 4.3 second gap between himself and Regan Mitchell.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant stuff to see. It does look like Charlie Crossland then out of the race. Looks like Tim Lane out of the race as well in 4 and 5 laps down consecutively. They're still shown as in pit lane. But at the moment then, only 3 cars taken to the pit lane. Kieran Vidago, Dean Riley and the number 445 of Tyler just now, of Michael Tyler. So everybody else maybe played a little bit of mind games with the cars that they're around just now, as we see Martin Buchan having a little look up the inside there of the number 20 there. That is of course Tony Mella, but decides to think better of it, tries to get a better exit out of Brundle there. Can't quite make it stick just now. Maybe through the bomb hole they'll have a look, or on the entry rounds after Coram into Murray's. But I mean, strategy wise, they've got 15 minutes left to go to complete their pit stops here. Chris, if it was yourself, would you be wanting to pit earlier? I know you were saying that's what they should do. Is that what you would do?
Yeah, I'd want to get the pit stop out of the way. I'm a driver that's very easily panicked. Oh, are we seeing a move there in the background of the shot? I don't think we were, as the cameraman's lost again. So that was Martin Buchan thinking about it. Oh, the Crayola Lamborghini, no, of Campbell. He's that's getting very scrappy coming down into Wilson again. Yeah, I'd want to get the pit stop out of the way just so that it's served and I don't have to think about it. If I've got something I'm trying to, that I know I have to do, it takes my focus away a little bit from the race. Especially if I was in this pack here, if I felt like I was being held up, I absolutely would get my pit stop out of the way. Get yourself out of the pack, hopefully get some fresh air, and really put some decent laps in. That's what I would be thinking.
Yeah, great point nonetheless then. So Martin Buchan caught in between a rock and a hard place right now, because he's got Tony Mella up in front and Sean Campbell behind. Both of them eager to try and make hay while the sun shines here at Snetterton down in Norfolk. Clear conditions for the remainder of the race as always here, and it's difficult to say it's always sunny in Norfolk, but when you come from Scotland and the conditions we have up in here, Chris, it's positively tropical weather down here. 16 degrees air temperature, 23 degrees track temperature right now. A nice steady temperature for these tyres to go, not too hot, not too cold. They can really enjoy a lot of the grip. As Rich Smith into pit lane then from second place. So Rich Smith was about a second and a half behind Robbie Stapleford and jumps into pit lane just now, as we see the Audi up in front of the number 8, running very, very wide, and that is Paulo Tempera in the Audi. Now what that's going to do is that's going to bring that Bentley up to, and it's now going to be a 4-car battle for 6th position now, with David Simon just a couple of seconds up the road.
Yep, it looks like this pack of 5 could well recondense. And there we go, as we're seeing the Audi of Tempera being caught by the pack of 3 behind. Also, adding to your comment about the weather, as a former resident of Dundee, I can confirm that David is absolutely right.
I forgot about that. I forgot you were from you'd lived in Dundee. It's we've both earned our stripes. We've both made it as fully functioning adults and human beings, despite living in Dundee. Some very famous people obviously come from Dundee, like Sir Brian Cox, the very famous actor. But the common thing is we all escaped. Really, I think that's what you can say at that. And I'd love to see anybody in the YouTube chat arguing against that. I don't think we'd ever find any comments like that.
Well, yeah.
anyway, back to the race, shall we? 11 minutes left to go. Now that I can never step foot inside another city in Scotland. 11 and a half minutes left to go in the pit window here for round 5 of the eTeam BRIT GT3 Challenge Season 3, if you can believe season 3 already. Goodness me, I can still remember season 1 like it was yesterday, but so glad that we're back into Assetto Corsa Competizione, and Robbie Stapleford into pit lane from the lead of the race here. And this is going to be very, very interesting to see how that's all going to pan out. Regan Mitchell then takes the provisional lead of the race as Robbie Stapleford into to pit lane. So how do we see this one panning out then, Chris? Because halfway through the race, it's been a chaotic start, but the last 10 minutes or so have been relatively calm.
Yeah, most people have settled into their rhythms now. We're seeing the pecking order re-established. You can't deny it is definitely advantage Stapleford at the moment, but we will see. Rich Smith has got company there. Is that Neuterling's ahead of him as the camera swings round? Still didn't see who it was, but I think it's the Treble 5 Bentley directly ahead, and that's not what Rich Smith would have wanted. There's Stapleford, of course, bearing in mind that Rich Smith had that additional 10-second penalty.
Wow.
That was a very quick stop from Stapleford, but Audi comes then, and there is Rich Smith, his forward pursuer. But Rich Smith had that 10-second penalty to serve anyway, remember? So, yeah, he was always going to be some considerable distance behind. It was a good move on Neuterling's to return to what will eventually be second position. You can see the green marks next to people's name in the tower. That signifies they've served their mandatory stop. And Rich Smith then continues on his merry way. Unlike Tony Mellor, still in this particular pack now in 6th position because of those ahead of him pitting. Still really heavily condensed. It's now just 4 cars. The Lamborghini's fallen a little bit off the back. That's Campbell. That's made a mistake somewhere and has fallen a little bit off the back of this pack. It's funny you mentioned about the weather. When I was at Snetterton last, it was fairly inclement. It was pretty miserable for certainly some of the day. But hey ho, that's Norfolk weather. And also, I've got family. Part of my family's from Norfolk, so I got it in me. I got it in me blood. If I start talking Norfolk, no one will understand a damn word I'm saying.
I'm not even getting started on the Norfolk conversation. That's just not happening tonight.
When you speak to someone that has never left Norfolk, it was like how I felt when I very first moved to Dundee. You hear the words, but the order they've said them in makes no sense whatsoever. And Norfolk is no different in that respect. But Charlie Crossland's back on circuit. If I read the... Wow, he must have had a hell of a lot of damage then. But then he was off into the wall, wasn't he? So several laps down, but does return to the circuit as our championship leader. I mean, you never know what will happen. Why not? It's worth giving it a go. Lovely back shot there from Tony Mellor, continuing to look at his pursuant of Tempura and Buck. And oh, Spooner, that's not how you're supposed to deal with the exit of Oggies. But that Lexus getting all crossed up, coming through Williams onto the Bentley straight, trying to keep Brockies in the 105 McLaren directly behind. Directly ahead is Dean Riley in the Treble 2 Aston. I was going to say that's a Simsport Aston, but no, it isn't. It's the Treble 2 Aston. There's Martin Buchan also in the eTeam Fazari Lexus at the back of this particular train. They've called. Oh, that's the Mercedes. Oh, that's the Fordzilla Merc.
I'm also just realising that Rich Smith has actually taken a whole chunk of time out of Robbie Stapleford. Now, remember he had that 10-second penalty. But either it's been a slow stop for Robbie Stapleford or Rich Smith is capitalising something rotten right now. But at the moment, that gap's down to about 8 seconds now. So I was expecting it to be about 13 or 14 seconds. But it was actually, there you go, 9 seconds between the two of them. I think it'll continue to go up, but that's way closer than I thought. That's not what you want to do. I've done that in real life, and it's not a pleasant experience.
That must hurt when you hit that.
It wasn't pleasant, I'll put it that way, but it was more the fear of, because the cars are going so slow, you just kind of hope it comes back down again, because for me it was actually up onto to 2 wheels there, but thankfully it did, and thankfully there wasn't too much injury to me. I can't say the same about the car though, had a few broken bits on the front right there, but it goes to show, it goes to show just how punishing. And the thing is that you asked me earlier about how accurate the circuit is. The exact same thing will happen to your car. You'll lose tyre pressure in the front right. You also cause damage to your suspension as well, such as the the incredible realism provided by Assetto Corsa Competizione. Tony Mellor comes out the pit and he has lost out big time ahead of that battle now. He's going to cycle down, I would imagine, to about 8th position when all is said and done. We've still got quite a few pit stops to do, but that's really not worked out for him. 3 seconds that he's lost out through that pit stop, and Chris, that is not what you want to hear during an hour race.
No, that considering how closely timed that pack was, that's going to be difficult for that Bendy to close down unless people ahead of him start fighting, which is of course what they've been doing all race long. Regan Mitchell has come into the pits from the lead as Stuart Ross French then takes over the lead of the race. There's the Crayola Lamborghini of Sean Campbell on the back of the Fordzilla number 64 of David Simon. Now that somewhere along the line, that Merc has lost a lot of time because he was quite clear of that pack, of which that Lamborghini was at the back of before the pit stop phase. So that the pit stops have completely shuffled this pack around. But somewhere, I reckon Dave Simon's made a mistake somewhere because he was quite clear of that pack. And then he was caught just before they all came into the pits. And you can quite clearly see that Lamborghini is nailed to the back of the Mercedes then coming through Cora. So either Dave Smith has either wounded the Merc or he's made a mistake somewhere. He just hasn't been able to break free. Oh, that's really, really deep going into Murray's. That's compromised his line. And yeah, Sean Campbell was ironically a little too close. He couldn't pick up the slipstream as much as he would have liked. He had to back out of that. He's thinking about, no, he's backed out of that. Ah, that's why, because someone's just come out of the pits right ahead of him. Very wise move, very race alert there from Sean Campbell. If he tried to dive on the inside coming into Richards, he'd have absolutely barreled into the back. Is that Tempura? It is. That's
Paolo Tempura.
Yeah, so Tempura now leads this particular... I keep wanting to say Tempura as in the batter. I wholeheartedly apologise for that. Oh, again, that Mercedes. I think that Merc is wounded because we keep seeing David Simon just going too wide. It's not turning in. That's not what you tend to see in the corner. That's an advertising board. So someone's gone for a bit of a trip off-road somewhere. I reckon that number 64 is damaged somehow.
Yeah, I think you're possibly right there, or maybe it's a setup issue with that Merc. Certainly doesn't seem to have the stability going in and out of the corners there. We'll keep an eye on David Simon though, as he's trying to catch on to the back of Paolo Tempera there in that number 8. Meanwhile, Stuart Ross French into the pit, so is Martin Buchanan. Two of your remaining podium dwellers at the moment going to go down. They're going to go back into about P5 and P6 respectively. Maybe even further down. Robbie Stapleford though will regain the lead of the race. There he goes up into the front, and it looks like Rich Smith then, despite fighting Regan Mitchell. Now that is huge because Regan Mitchell was ahead. Oh, the huge moment there through the bomb hole as Sean Campbell tries to make the move up onto David Simon there. Was a little bit distracted because Regan Mitchell dropping down the order, and what has happened actually to Regan Mitchell? He's now been caught out by Stuart Ross French. He was fighting with Rich Smith there, and Regan Mitchell then down into to 5th position. So the last one to put. Let's have a look here as Stuart Ross French. In fact, there he is. There's Regan Mitchell there. So Regan Mitchell gets ahead of Stuart Ross French after Stuart just comes out of the pit lane there. So Regan now still into essentially that 3rd position because Sandro Ballesteros in the 19 will drop out of the top 5 there. But back to the battle then with Sean Campbell here and trying to hold on to that position. He's actually trying to get that, as we said, that position from David Simon. Now, again, this is not what you want because that man behind him, Bobby Trundley, he's going to make a nuisance of himself.
One man that isn't very popular at the moment is Mark Neuterlings. Oh no! Contact between Neuter and Lutz, just as I mentioned his name. He's had contact with the Audi, and there goes the Fordzilla Mercedes along with the Crayola Lamborghini. Whoa! Huge! Whoa, almost brake failure from Neuterlings. I wonder if he was looking back. He's either had some kind of technical issue, or I don't know what on earth is going on. They just ploughed into the side of David Simon's Mercedes after having contact with the Audi of Tempera. Oh my goodness me! What on earth was going on there?
And there's more contacts again. No. David Simon side by side with Sean Campbell. We've resurrected. They've had their lap out of the pits and the chaos resumes. It's all touchy-feely, and we don't like seeing this up in the commentary box because this is when really, really expensive sim racing mistakes happen and bad things happen as well. But David Simon loses that position. I think frustration now starting to set in after he got absolutely bombarded. And look at that. That means that Bobby Trundley are way up into 7th position here. and that was into to pit lane was one of the eTeam BRIT cars. Meanwhile, this is just absolutely frantic behaviour going on into turn 1 then. So there is Bobby Trundley chased down by Sean Campbell in that Lamborghini. There's David Simon down in 8th position. And my goodness me, this is just manic little turn to the races. I don't know if they've just switched on. As far as Mark Neutlings goes, I mean, that was 2 very poor incidents in quick succession. We need to get an idea on what happened with the Audi, but it did just look like he kept the foot in. That's certainly what it looked like there as David Simon tries to make the move up the inside there. Lamborghini goes wide, and this is going to end in tears. David Simon is absolutely furious. You can tell from the way that he is driving that car right now. He is just determined to try and make this happen. It's been a horrible day for Team Fordzilla. Charlie Crossland getting wiped out at the beginning of the race, and David Simon almost getting exactly the same from Mark Neutlings here. Meanwhile, I mean, Chris, what do you do if you're Charlie and you're David and you've just had the absolute worst race?
Fair play for Charlie for continuing, frankly. I mean, he's 7 laps down from 20th position, so, or 8 laps even, so he may well have... I'm surprised he hasn't just parked it. Actually, that is Hall in again. James Hall has already served his pit stop. He may well be parking the McLaren. Fair play for him for giving it a go, I guess. But as far as Simon is concerned, he's got no choice. He's got to do what he can. That car is clearly wounded. We don't know to what degree that Dave Simon's car is damaged, although on the straight line he seems to be doing okay, certainly against the Bentley behind of Mellor, but it's just when it's trying to turn in, it's misbehaving so badly. You just see him having to constantly work really hard. And look at that. You saw that advantage that David Simon had built up on the straight over the Bentley behind has just disappeared in 2 corners because that Merc just won't turn. It will not get... It's just understeering like mad. So that is the difficulty that Dave Simon's facing, but he's got no choice. He's got to carry on. He served his pit stop with only 18.5 minutes to go. There's no point in coming in again. Now, here we go. So there's Mark Neutlings going a bit too wide and then just wanders into the Audi, it looks like. The Audi's minding his own business, making the move. And then I wonder whether Neutlings was kind of too distracted with that and then just missed his braking point by about a week, going down into Oggies and slammed into the side of the Fordzilla Merc.
Yeah, and that's the aftermath of that with Mark Neutlings. I mean, it's a pretty silly move, and there you go, 10-second penalty for Mark Neutlings there. I mean, that's 2 separate incidents. He might even get a second penalty for that second incident there. There you go, causing a collision with car 8. So that's just for Paolo Tempera. Again, there could be another penalty on top of that for the collision with David Simon, because it's that whole thing of, let's have a look here. So this is with Paolo Tempera. So Tempera makes the gain after Mark Neutlings has a moment. He goes way too deep into the corner here. The car just washes out wide. Tempera thinks, yep, I'm going to have this, sneak up the inside, job done. And then the car just drifts in, comes across. And the thing is yes, Tempera does move over to the right, but the thing is he's got that there. I just don't know. And then here in the corner, yeah, there you go. Another. So that's going to be another 5 seconds for that collision with David Simon. That was. You said brake failure. I've got to be honest. It's brain failure for me. The whole thing is after an incident, you do not know what has happened with your car. You do not know if you've still got the same braking ability, and you see it time and time and time again. And this isn't just a thing for Mark Neutlings. I see it all through every single championship. They'll just go hell for leather, go straight back on it, and think that they can just treat the car in the same way. They need to give the car a lap to find out exactly what's broken on the car, if anything, and then they can go for it. But a needless 15-second penalty there for Mark Neutlings, which effectively destroys his race.
Pretty much. I mean, having already pitted and already down in 17th, that is going to see the Bentley a long way down. He's in the pits now to either park or to serve that penalty, if nothing else. As we jump back to Sean Campbell, on the back of Bobby Trundle. Now, bearing in mind that Nissan has served his penalties, you can see the 10-second flag has gone from the number 23. So this is just an all-out scrap for 6th position. I think Bobby Trundle was in 4th, I think. He was as far as 4th before the pit stop phase began. So he's done pretty well to maintain that kind of pace. And here comes the 26 Lamborghini. Oh, wow, look at the defensive line that Trundle has taken very, very early. Jumps to the racing line. Oh, there was a bit of a hesitancy there from Sean Campbell, but he opted to stay on the racing line rather than banzai into the first turn. Oh, straightaway defensive for Trundle. He's not confident on what the Lamborghini's done. You're never going to make a move on the outside of Wilson in a month of Sundays, but I think that was just more a case of avoidance than anything else. I don't think Sean Campbell was actually trying to make a move there. But yeah, we've got a wonderful scrap here. The Lamborghini does look like he's got the raw pace over the GTR at the moment, but we will see if Trundle is going to be able to hold him back for another 15 minutes.
Well, we'll certainly see, because he only needs to hold him back for another minute or so, because look behind, David Simon now, very, very frustrated just behind that Lamborghini Huracan GT3 right now for the Vario Corsa. Again, Sean Campbell really wants to try and make this move stick, but Bobby Trundle, he is no slouch here. He knows exactly where he needs to put that Nissan GTR to get it right in there. But brilliant stuff there from Bobby Trundle. And there he is, there's David Simon now looking to try and get back, and Tony Mella still having a look as well. David Simon just has a little look to the inside. He's nowhere near, but it's all about getting inside Sean Campbell's head. And look at that gap now. It's gone from attacking Bobby Trundle, who's very slow through Brundle there, to having to defend. Meanwhile, here is Paolo Tempera onto the back of James Haskell then for that 32. I've got to say, I absolutely love the livery on that Honda. The purple to blue is just such a wonderful livery on that car there, as Paolo Tempera makes an absolute meal of going through that chicane there. But here comes the Lamborghini, still on the charge end of the GTR. We've got under 15 minutes left to go in round 5 of the championship, and what a round it has been. There are going to be shockwaves reverberating from this round for the rest of the championship. And David Simon having a huge moment out of riches there, and that could have been game over. Fair play for holding on to that, Chris.
Sign that man up to the cricket team. What a catch that was. That Merc was fast lining to the wall, and he managed to wrestle that back under control. Here's Michael Tyler, 18th position in the 445 car, on the back of Hyde. Oh, that Lamborghini's got the first turn all wrong, and that should just be an easy move for the Aston on the inside line coming into Wilson. Yeah, and that's job done. That Lamborghini, whoa, that got lively as coming through. Riches did not want to grip at all, but an easy move then for Michael Tyler up into 17th position. But yeah, back here we go again. This is a brilliant battle. Oh, Sean Campbell flirting with the grass there on the exit of Oggies. You don't want to be doing that, and he's pushing a bit too hard again. Oh, number 63 has gone off. That is, I don't know who that is. Car 6, is it 63 that's gone off?
Yeah, that's Max Spooner. He's obviously nipped off the ice cream van.
Yeah, very true. Oh, as the GTRs hit that dreaded curb, it's going to cost him a little bit. Whoops, as we see the Lexus in the background, Tony Mella. Wow, yeah, you can see Sean Campbell's really having to defend hard now against that number 64 Fordzilla Mercedes. It's always a weird sentence to say, but there are no Fords in this particular division as far as I know. Oh, wow, now look at how the Lamborghini took that last turn, how it took Murray's. I think David Simon may have been a little bit more cautious coming through there, but that's put the Lamborghini right back on the GTR's case. Into Riches once again. Is he going to try and move coming up into Wilson? Great ringside seat for David Simon. No, the Lamborghini remains where he is, but it's really, way too deep going into Wilson. He probably broke just a fraction of a second too late, but with the damage I suspect that car's been carrying, he just could not slow it down, or at least couldn't turn it in as well as he would have liked. So David Simon's still struggling, but still with decent pace.
Yeah, weirdly, he didn't lose anywhere near as much time as I thought he would going into that corner there. So maybe a little bit deliberate. Maybe he's learned to drive that car to the best of its ability with the issues that it's got going in deep to the corner, but knowing that the Mercedes has an amazing pull out of the corner. We've got a yellow flag again, and I think that is the number 2 again of Dan Hyde. It is, and that's a very, very broken and sad looking Lamborghini. He's going to have to watch out because he's got the 105 of Bradley Brock. He's coming very, very rapidly behind him, but back to Bobby Trundley then for Team Brit in the number 23 GTR, currently heading up Sean Campbell and David Simon with Tony Mella in the background as well. We're rapidly approaching 10 minutes to go here, and this is on the rundown then towards Brundle through into Nelson again. He really does struggle with that curb on the inside. Lamborghini gets a great run out through on the right hander, down through the dip at Bombhole, then into Coram again for the 27th time of asking here at the Snetterton circuit on Assetto Corsa Competizione, down on the brakes in towards Murray's, and it's a great run this time for Sean Campbell, tucked up in the right under the wing, that huge wing of the GTR, and into the pit lane. Is that Charlie Crossland weaving from side to side there? I think it is. I think they're trying to either entertain themselves or just get on with the race as well. But still, you've got to say full credit to Bobby Trundley for this amazing defensive drive. Yeah,
and now it seems to be, the cornering efficiency of that Lamborghini is certainly where the advantage is. But that GTR is just mighty on corner exit. That's mainly what's kept that Lamborghini at bay. And again, there you go. You just seen, look at that gap just increase and increase and increase. But then through the corner is where that Lamborghini just reels it straight back in. Another great, but it's Tempera again. On the back of Haskell with Kieran Vidago. We haven't seen him for a while. He's been pretty much minding his own business, trying to make up for lost time. He's in 12th now on this particular pack. The back up to Bobby Trundley. There's that Mercedes now getting involved. David Simon's looking to... Sean Campbell's dropped off the back of that particular pack. And now the Crayola Lamborghini is having to play a bit defensive himself. But sadly, David Simon was just sliding through Williams, not getting that Mercedes turned as well as he would have liked. But again, that's been the story of his race for quite a while now, although he's too deep. He probably braked to the right time. The car just won't turn. So again, that's just undone all the advantage he's gained. That's allowed, or will allow, Sean Campbell to start chasing off after Trundley again, and it's going to put Simon into the clutches of Tony Miller again.
This is absolute madness. I don't think I've ever seen an eTeam BRIT race as absolutely bonkers as this one just now. It's a four-way fight then between Bobby Trundley, Sean Campbell, David Simon and Tony Mella. But behind them, you've got another three-car battle with James Haskell, Paulo Tempera and Kieran Vidago all knocking lumps. However, the attention changes because up at the front, Stuart Ross French did a personal best last time round. He's now brought that gap down to Regan Mitchell to just 1.2 seconds. Could we see a fight for the final step on that podium? Regan Mitchell under real pressure right now, and this is really starting to ratchet up with just 7 minutes left to go in the race here, Chris.
Could well be. Now, Mitchell was very slightly quicker than French last time around, but even still, there's still fighting going on absolutely everywhere. That's Kieran Vidago on the back of Paulo Tempera, just going through Parma now. And that's Crossland not wanting to get involved, and the Ferrari not knowing which direction to go. He went to try and commit to the move, but sadly there was a Fordzilla Mercedes trying to stay out of people's way, which rather upset his momentum. There is Stuart Ross French. He has gained a bit on Regan Mitchell this time around, so we'll see what the lap times are. That Aston has absolutely got the Ferrari in his sights. Oh, we have definitely got a battle for that last podium step brewing. He needs to get about, half a second at least to make the slipstream worthwhile. But we'll see what the lap time difference is when they come over the line. On board with Kieran Vidago, chasing off after the number 8 Audi. This is fantastic. And we've got to think, we've been racing for 53 and a bit minutes and still fighting absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, and very aggressively fighting as well. As 2 cars up there, that is going to be James Haskell just ahead of Kieran Vidago. And again, it's that whole swings and roundabouts thing here, because James Haskell pulls the car back in, and that closes Paolo Tempera and the Audi and Kieran Vidago right up to them. The two of them surely with a good chance of going flying past them here on the start-finish straight. We've got 6.5 minutes left to go, and quite honestly, this top 10 could change every single way, apart from Stapleford and from Smith right up at the front there. Oh, it was a look up the inside there from the Ferrari, the Simsport Ferrari of Kieran Vidago. Pulls it out and doesn't think any more of it and keeps going. Meanwhile, David Simon is under pressure.
Oh, no!
Contact, that is an absolute send from nowhere. It's going to be lights out for Kieran Vidago. That was a silly move from Kieran Vidago. Way too late on the brakes, and there was absolutely no chance, Chris. No chance in hell of him getting that car stopped.
Absolutely miles too late on the brakes there for Kieran Vidago. It sent him into the side of Haskell's Honda. Oh dear, oh dear. I suspect that's going to be another penalty applied by the stewards, but we'll see what they choose to do. Back to the battle then for third position. Now the Aston does close in a bit on the Ferrari through the lap, but the lap times still are in Regan Mitchell's favour, or have been for the last couple of laps. We'll see where they are this time around. Nice exit there from Stuart Ross French from Murray's. As we look through, I can't quite see the Ferrari in the shot. Let's see what the lap times are this time around.
It's going up.
Well, it's actually 3/10 to French's favour that time around. So it's a bit nip and tuck, it's a bit up and down, but last time around 3/10 to the Aston's favour.
Oh wow, what has happened to David Simon? He was on the back of Sean Campbell and Bobby Trundley, and now he's dropped 4.5 seconds behind him right now. And here comes Tony Mella with 4 and 3/4 minutes left to go in the race. It's all defensive for David Simon. Moves one way, then the other. The Bentley tries to think about it going into Riches. Has he got the car slowed down enough? And Mella's going to think about going for the move up the inside. Kieran Vidago gets a 5-second penalty, and up the inside goes Tony Mella. Can't get the car stopped. David Simon though blocked off, and that Merc is going to have great power. They're still side by side. Epic racing for P8, and it's all done again for David Simon. He lives to tell the tale. Meanwhile, further up, it looks like there's more action going on with Sean Campbell and Bobby Trundley. Back to Kieran Vidago. He's now on the tail end of James Haskell here. Here we go. Bobby Trundley fighting off Sean Campbell. Action everywhere, Chris. This is just nuts. Up the inside. Outside now for Sean Campbell. Bobby Trundley has the inside line here. I honestly, I've never seen a race like this in my life.
They've been side by side pretty much all the entire lap. The Lamborghini sliding through Williams, trying everything he can to get past the widest GTR in the world at the moment, and still Trundley has kept him at bay. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Yes, exactly as you say, something has happened to David Simon, whether a mistake or a sudden surge from Tony Mella, because he's fallen off this particular pack big time. I wonder whether Simon and Mella have come together somewhere, because Simon and Mella were not that far behind these two last time we saw them. So I reckon the Merc and the Bentley have come together somewhere. And there is the two battles we're talking. Well, that's Vidago and Haskell that are close together. Now Kieran Vidago with that 5-second penalty. Yellow flags out briefly. I think someone's had a problem at, that's David Hyde again. Is having a bit of an issue down at Agostini, I think. Absolutely brilliant. So action right the way to the flag. This is what we love as commentators. We hope you're enjoying it, watching the stream as well. Kieran Vidago just doing what he can to get past this Honda. Haskell is doing exactly what he needs to do to keep the Simsport Racing number 4 behind him.
It absolutely is. 2.5 minutes left to go. Vidago looking every which way he can, going into Riches, but it's not going to happen. Surely here might be trying to get it late onto the brakes in towards that hairpin right. He's learned his lesson, and obviously with that 5-second penalty it won't actually do anything to him at all, because he's 11 seconds ahead of Dean Riley. So interested to see how that one will pan out. I think he'll be settled with that 12th. He's not going to settle for it, but I don't think he's actually going to get past James Haskell in that Honda. Meanwhile, further up the field, let's have a look here. It's Stuart Ross French now, half a second ahead, behind Regan Mitchell. So that has changed massively. That was 1.4 seconds, and Regan Mitchell now under huge attack for that third position for the final spot on the podium. Bobby Trundley under heavy attack here. There we go, on board with Stuart Ross French, Chris. And what has changed? Sean Campbell tries to fire up the inside at Brundle. This is just madness. Tries to hold it in, gets the foot in around the outside of the bomb hole. Bobby Trundley has got the GTR about the size of a BMW M8 GTE at this rate. That is a big chunky boy coming through bomb hole and Coram. And poor Mike Yao from Simsport just has absolutely no idea which battle to focus on, because there's like 15 happening at once. This is the battle for podium. This is going to be the most important battle on the track in this final minute here, Chris. And it could all change for Regan Mitchell.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the number 81, Robbie Stapleford, he's just gone through Oggies. Can he beat the flag? Wow! Big defensive move there from Trundley. He knows he has to. Again, that's forced Campbell to the outside line. You're never going to make a move on the outside of Rich's, wrong corner, of that hairpin. You're never going to do it. It's too slow and too long. But that Lamborghini is trying everything he can. He knows he's got very little time to try and get that move done. So, what brilliant defensive masterclass from the GTR driver of Bobby Trundley. And again, that battle for third is still waiting on, just 0.3 of a second between
contact behind. I just noticed contact behind with David Simon and Tony Mella. That was a huge hip check from Tony Mella as David Simon tried to fire it up the inside. Stuart French then still 0.3 of a second behind Regan Mitchell. And I tell you what, we're going to need a lie down after this one, because we may get one more lap after this one. I'm trying to see where the 81 is. So we're on the last lap right now. And so Robbie Stapleford across the line to start the last lap. He's just gone through the hairpin right. So here we go then. Let's keep an eye on this one. Regan Mitchell has one lap to defend onto that final step of the podium. It's into Richard's end. Look at the pace. Oh, there's contact between Tony Mella and David Simon. It all goes wrong again. There's more contact. And this is going to be Stuart Ross French trying to go right the outside of the hairpin then to take third position, to take that final podium place from Regan Mitchell. Regan slams the door shut, says no thank you. Not today. It's going to keep going on for the final half of this lap. Stuart Ross French for Red Shell Racing has to regroup, rethink and see how he's going to actually get past the Ferrari right now. We go picture in picture again. Bobby Trundley deserves a defensive masterclass medal right now for that poor Lamborghini. He has tried everything he possibly can and it's not happening. The Lamborghini must be absolutely raging right now to try and get past Bobby Trundley, but it's just not happening. Back in picture though, Stuart Ross French still hustling, harassing Kieran Fidalgo to within an inch of his life here. And there is Robbie Stapleford, as if we didn't have enough action to track here on here. Your race leader who has just been away with it. Full ballast, full 75 kilos of ballast, and has absolutely made it. And there we go. Stuart Ross French tries to have a look up the inside, but out of the final corner then, it's going to be a race win here at round 5 for an amazing performance for Robbie Stapleford. Well done, that man. We're sorry we couldn't give you more of the attention throughout the race, because it's just all been kicking off. This is for the final step on the podium then. Rich Smith is going to take second place there, but it's going to be Regan Mitchell coming across the line to take third place. An amazing battle there with Stuart Ross French towards the end. Can this Lamborghini do it? He's got the run out the outside of Brundle, but Bobby Trundley is going to make that thing as wide as he possibly can. Forces him off down to the grass at bomb hole. No way round. It's surely going to be a 6th position for Bobby Trundley. That is one of the most incredible performances from the GTR. Take about Bobby Trundley. It may not be a race win, but that was stellar defending. Sean Campbell going to finish in 7th. It's going to be Tony Mella in 8th place. David Simon hopefully in 9th position, although he has got to defend from Paulo Tempera. It's going to be David Simon in 9th, Paulo Tempera in 10th position there. Oh my God, Chris Buxton, we need to take a lie down for about a week after that race.
You're not wrong. And well played as well, Mike, out on control of the cameras. You had a hell of a job to try and keep up with everything. And thank you very much to our drivers for putting on such a show.
Oh, I just don't even know where to begin with that. Firstly, Robbie Stapleford, an incredible race win, given that he was on full ballast there and taking an 11-second lead over Rich Smith. Now, granted, Rich Smith did have that 10-second penalty, but, I mean, things could have been all so different towards the end of that race there.
They could well have been. Again, what if our championship leader hadn't had his incidents? I mean, you can what if that until the cows come home. The fact remains that Robbie Stapleford's done it again. You know, he took the pole. He didn't quite have it all his own way to begin with, but he did what he needed to do, stretched off into the distance. And with the penalty on Rich Smith, that sealed the deal, really. But what amazing fighting we've seen throughout the field. Not everybody, unfortunately, survived it, but what a show we've just been treated to.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing. Without further ado then, let's get on with the interviews. We've got Simsport Racing's Regan Mitchell, who I'd imagine is going to be breathing a very, very large sigh of relief. Let's see if we can bring Regan into the interview room. We'll get Mikey out to do that for us. Here we go. Regan Mitchell from Simsport Racing. Firstly, you can take a big sigh of relief after that one.
Yeah, I'm heavy breathing.
I mean, that last 5 laps with Stuart Ross French were so intense.
Yeah, I was pretty calm up until the last 2 where the tyres started to go and I lost my slow corner speed, and then I made a mistake on the last lap on turn 1, so that made it extra scary. But I managed to keep it.
And obviously, now on the run up to this season, Regan, I'd only just started to see you. You just started to come onto my radar, and I very quickly put you on as one of the people to watch this season. But it's been really difficult, isn't it? The first race and the third race, getting caught up in other people's accidents. But a brilliant third place. You must be delighted with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I've got a bit of a... When no accidents happen, I've got a bit of a curse where I always come third place in Simsport races. I'm third place a majority of the time. So I guess that was another thing that helped me keep calm, I suppose. Well, I'm God's chosen. I'm guaranteed to come third.
On that note then, obviously, because it was just chaos for the first 10 minutes. Talk us through that opening 2 laps.
Right, so... It was mainly just trying to capitalise on other people's mistakes. So I got up to third at turn 2 due to Rich and Charlie having an accident. Dived up the inside of Rich and got that done. And then what was it, the long right-hander? Kieran and Robbie had a tussle, and they were on the inside on the grass, and I just had like a vision of them coming back onto the track and wiping me out, so I turned out a bit too much, and that had me on the grass. But then it was anyone's race. It was pretty fun to be at the back of that lead pack.
And obviously some good championship points coming into the tail end of the season. What are you looking forward to then in terms of our final races of the season with just 3 races left to go?
Spa, because I'm not likely to have much ballast there, judging by I'll have a lot at Donington and might only come bottom of the top 10. So Spa will be fun. I don't know about the next race or the race after that.
Yeah, Donington on the 13th of December, and then Imola, the season finale at February 2022. So plenty of time to get practicing for them. But any celebrations planned for yourself tonight, Regan?
Early bed.
Welcome to the sim racing rockstar lifestyle that we all live, my friend. Well done, mate. But congratulations to yourself, Regan, and looking forward to seeing you back out at Donington.
Thank you.
So there we go, Simsport's Regan Mitchell there for us. Let's have a chat with second place and the man that was really hot on the heels of Robbie Stapleford, Rich Smith. We'll get Mike to bring Rich into the interview room for us just now. Rich, a very good evening. Congratulations on second place, and you've got to feel if it wasn't for that 10-second penalty, things could have been very, very different at the front.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Yeah, first of all, it was a funny old race. I knew I had a good pace, and obviously the guys around me had some serious ballast as well. So I thought, you know, once we stick some race fuel in, I might be a little bit quicker. Obviously, I had instant with Charlie going into turn one. I mean, obviously, I had a penalty for that. I accept the penalty, and I honestly, at to this moment, I've not seen it back, so I couldn't tell you really what happened. I went to the inside. He went to the inside to block me off. I went back to the outside. I think he moved to the outside again, and I may have just been a little bit touched later on the brakes. But yeah, for sure. I think after the pit stops, I noticed I was only 8 seconds behind Robbie, and I thought, well, if I hadn't had that 10 seconds, I could have been 2 seconds up the road from him. So, you know, and if I'd have got that position, it would have been, I think it would have been hard for him to get by me, because we were doing similar sort of lap times the whole way through. So, yeah, it's ifs and buts, but no, I just want to apologise to Charlie if it was my bad. It was certainly the last thing I wanted to happen, and yeah, other than that, it was quite a quiet race, and yeah, it was fun. It was nice to stay on the track the whole way around, but yeah.
Just thinking back to that start, then obviously you had the issue with Charlie, and I've got no doubt Charlie will quite graciously accept that apology. But from my memory, have you ever seen a start as manic as that opening 2 laps?
Yeah, it was a bit crazy. As I say, obviously once we got through T1, I obviously got lost a little bit of pace going into T2, and I had to take the inside. Yeah, and then obviously later on in the lap, Kieran and Robbie were having a little bit of a coming together before the last bend, and Regan was in between me and them. I think he just understeered off, basically. Not really sure where he went, and obviously I got through and then sat behind them two coming into T1, and then they had possibly a little coming together. It looked like it from my point of view, but there was no penalties issued, so I'm guessing it was just a bit of a racing incident. Then after that point, I just sat in behind Robbie and followed it through, but I could see bits and pieces going on behind me, and I could hear bits and pieces from Dean, who was a little bit further down the line as well. So yeah, it sounded quite eventful.
Yeah, and on that note, obviously some big points for yourself tonight. That's I believe that's going to put you up into to 56 points. So a really good end to the race, and a good start to the final 3 races coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, it's looking very doubtful that I'll be able to race anymore due to work commitments, having to be away from home, and obviously the rig. So I may have to. We're sort of currently looking to seek a stand-in to take my position in the Aston for the team's point of view, but obviously that could well be the end to my points tally for the solos point of view.
Well, I got to hear that. On an unrelated note, I may no longer be able to do commentary for the rest of the season there, if there's going to be a space going on Rich Smith. But Rich, I mean, a fantastic season nonetheless. But I mean, you've got to be honest. It's even if you were to leave now, it's been a fantastic season for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had our ups and downs at races. You know, there's a couple of races I could have fared better. A couple of races that I perhaps, you know, did better than I expected, I guess. So yeah, no, it's just been a funny season. Been quite enjoyable racing with these guys. Very tight racing. You've got some super quick guys there like Charlie and Robbie, who obviously, even with, you know, huge amounts of ballast, can still do what they've done. So yeah, you know, it's just been a bit nice to race, pit myself against these guys, and you know, sometimes compete, sometimes get left behind, but very enjoyable.
Well, Rich, fingers crossed we can still get you back on the grid for the remainder of the season, because I've already used my nice things to say about Dan Handover this weekend. So best of luck, and thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on 2nd place, and we'll speak to you very soon, Rich Smith.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. Cheers. Take care.
So there we go, that is 2nd place of Rich Smith, but I suppose we've delayed it as often as we possibly can. We've got to bring him in. We'll get Mike to bring our race winner in, Robbie Stapleford, who was just absolutely incredible. Came into the season halfway through for Zansho Simsport. Robbie, hi again, and again, it's interviewing you as a race winner.
Yeah, that was a very interesting race. I definitely wasn't expecting to come home in P1 after the win at Bathurst and getting 75 kilos. Pretty much did no practice, and I was expecting to not be high, but not be that high. And then just got good quality, got pole, and then yeah, it was a nice first lap, quite entertaining, and then just slowly built the gap to Rich, and then obviously got 10-second penalty, which helped a bit. So I pitted for the repairs, tried to go for fastest lap, never got it, so I just chilled out and started to maintain the gap to Rich behind.
So many questions, so little time to ask you, so I'll fire through as many as I can. But at the start of that race, Robbie, WTF happened?
I have no idea.
Have you ever experienced anything as manic as that?
No, it was literally crazy. Like the whole of the first lap.
It was just, honestly, it was just like everybody was, I honestly thought there was going to be some restraining orders coming out at the end of this race after that first lap, but you survived it, and after some very, very scary moments there with Kieran on the, like we're watching here on the replay here, on the run through to Bombhole and then through into to Riches again. I mean, just tell us briefly from your experience what you remember of those incidents.
Obviously hit the curb going through, don't know what the corner's called, but hit the curb before Bumhole, and then got to switch back on Kieran, and then I thought he just turned right a bit, and then obviously we've tapped and gone into the grass, and then we came back on, and luckily no one was out at that point.
Yeah, for sure. But you survived it, and then the rest of the race was yours thanks to essentially a 10-second penalty to Rich Smith, which kind of robbed us of a battle, but it must have been a fairly big sigh of relief for yourself.
Yeah, when I saw the 10 seconds, I was like, yes, get in there, because I knew Rich was going to be quick, and I was struggling with the ballast, but yeah, it was all good.
Yeah, another amazing event, Robbie, and I think I've run out of superlatives to use for your performances. You go into the final 3 rounds, I think, with quite a good lead over Charlie Crossland, who didn't take any points off of that. But Donington, Spa and Imola coming up, you've proven that weight is almost irrelevant for you. Are you looking forward to our next race at Donington?
Oh yeah, really looking forward to Donington. I'm pretty good around there. I've never been around there with weight, so that's going to be interesting, but here we are, sure.
Yeah. Well, it was an absolute pleasure for us to watch, Robbie. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Congratulations on yet another win, and we'll see you next month.
Cheers, David. See you soon.
So there we go, Chris Buxton. Wow, welcome to eTeam BRIT. Your final thoughts.
My brain is mush after all that. But what an incredible race we've seen. If this series needed a poster child, if this season needed any kind of advertising, that race perfectly epitomises what can be expected in this series.
Yeah, a fantastic night. All that's left is to say a huge thank you to our commercial partners, to Team BRIT, to IMB Racewear, to Texaco, to TW Steel, to DBF, to VBox Motorsport, Daytona, Visaro, D-Box, Carshare, Odyssey Battery, AAA Track, DAF and the Surrey Copper Distillery. I've been Dave Christie. He has been Chris Buxton. A huge thank you to Mike Yow behind the scenes for all of the awesome camera work as awesome. Catch us next month, 13th of December, where we head to Donington for round 6 of the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge Season 3. Until next time, have a wonderful night, and we'll see you very, very soon.